What's good, everybody? I'm the Shadow Sage, and this is part 9 with Naruto went rogue. And if you enjoyed the video, remember to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. And I'm sorry this video took so long to come out. I just had things going on in my life. I'm a person too. I've had school and other responsibilities to do. I just haven't been able to work on videos, and I apologize to all of you, but let's move on.
Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
And before we get into this actual video, I just want to go over a few things about my last video, part 11 of Kurama, because there were a few complaints and questions in the comments, so I just want to clear those up. So number 1, the ending. People said it was more realistic than exciting. Yeah, that was the thing I was going for. I wasn't going for like a super flashy or exciting ending. I was going for something more realistic. And now complaint number 2. The video was really short. Like, no shit, the series fucking ended. What do you want me to do? Talk about Boruto? Like, if I make a shitty 10-minute video, that's a big dishonor to you guys compared to me making a 6-minute video. So just hop off my dick. And now for the questions that you guys had. One of the major ones was like, what happens to Black Zetsu? The thing is that without Madara being revived, he really can't do anything. He can't like force Naruto and Sasuke to lose. He doesn't have any combat abilities. So what he would do is he would either wait for the next set of reincarnates, but that would never happen because he would say that if the set of reincarnates work together, the reincarnation cycle was broken. So he would have to like get some normal person to do it that's not a reincarnate of Indra, which would be very hard. So I would say that probably Kaguya is like never ever revived because Black Zetsu would fail. And one other pointer was that Obito would never declare the fourth Great Ninja War in the first place because he never had Kabuto's help. But that's false because he declared the war in canon even before he got help from Kabuto. And lastly, we were asking what happens with people like Toneri, Momoshiki, Ishiki, what happens with them? And to that I say mankind is completely fucked. Naruto beat Toneri using his Bishu Sage Mode, which he does not have in this timeline. And also know that he does not have 6-path Sage Mode, so he couldn't use that. So then Toneri would just kill Naruto on the moon, take Hinata's eyes. I mean, he already took Hinata's eyes, but that's irrelevant. He would use his Tenseigan and destroy the earth. Simple as that. And now that I'm done clearing that up, let's finally get into what if Naruto went rogue. And in my humble opinion, I think this is one of my better parts yet, so I hope you all enjoy this video. So in part 8, Naruto spent a lot of time in the wild just finding himself and recreating his new philosophy. And you could honestly compare it to what Sasuke did after the war arc. And once he has this new philosophy, he's going to start creating his goals and start working towards them. So he starts recruiting members to join his cause. And the first 3 people that he recruits are 3 Jinchuriki, the 1 Tails, 6 Tails, and the 4 Tails. No, not the 4 Tails, the 5 Tails, my bad. And he also recruits some other people like who've been oppressed in the past, like oppressed by their village or clans that have been oppressed, stuff like that. And now we got that out of the way, let's get into this. So now that they've established their small foundational group, they're going to be mostly traveling, making money, doing contract jobs the way Naruto was during his travels. And also, more importantly, they're going to be creating their plan on how they're going to reform the shinobi world. Because at this point, Naruto only has like his goal, but he doesn't know how he's going to do it. And what they finally decided on doing is that they're going to invade each of the 5 great nations one by one, creating a coup d'etat in each one, and reinstating a new utilitarian government and creating a new world order that enforces their beliefs. And though that plan might sound cool on paper, for obvious reasons, we know that that just ain't it. That's why Final Valley Sasuke and Pain weren't the protagonists. The show is called Naruto. And in this time period, now that they have their plan, they're going to start amassing followers, just like how the Akatsuki did. I'm talking about like the OG Akatsuki, not the current Akatsuki, because they have like all their members set. But back in the olden Akatsuki days, they were just recruiting people for their cause. So that's what this group is going to do. And once they reach a decent amount of members, they make a base in one of the smaller lands. Like, not a tiny land, but they're going to go in the land of waterfalls. And this is right next to the land of Earth, where they picked up Han. And I said before that they're going to do contract jobs, like how Naruto was doing and how the Akatsuki did back in the early days to fund their plans. But every so often, now that they have like a decent amount of strength, they're going to partake in a little bit of philanthropy per se. They're going to take down like crime organizations or like mafias, people like Gato. Because if you remember, Gato is someone who used his fortune to oppress the people in the land of waves. So he's going to take down people like that, kind of like a vigilante group. So that's why I said philanthropy. And when they're fighting crime, they are ruthless. They carry out their missions to perfection and slaying all the enemy that they fight, because they're just like here to slaughter people who do evil. Like, that's why I say that's the kind of group they are, kind of like the Akatsuki was. They're an extremist group. And as they near the end of the 2-year time skip, they have 4 Jinchuriki and they've amassed a small but very strong and dedicated faction. And some of the smaller villages around them are starting to take notice, and even some of the larger villages are. But the organization is still shrouded in a bunch of mystery. A lot of people know that they exist, but nothing else is known about them. This is truly an organization shrouded in the shadows and rumors. And as the rumors spread, a lot of people are scared of them, and a lot of people will see them as heroes because they see them as like a ruthless and scary group or a group that takes down crimes. It's one or the other, no in between. And one day, two people in dark robes with red clouds show up. A chirpy man with long blonde hair, and a scary looking man with a seemingly hunched over posture. And they're here based on a rumor. In the past week, a group of travelers had sighted a missing Jinchurki from the sand village, Gara of the Desert. And as the rumor spread, the Akatsuki caught wind of it, and the duo assigned on catching the One-Tails was on the job. And the duo will be searching through the thick forest of where the sighting was when they sense an area with many strong chakras. And so they rush to it and they find a base, and Data returns to his partner and says, "Sasori, my man, I got this." And then grabs some clay out of his pouch and into his hands, and small C1 bombs crawl out and they disperse into the hideout. And after they spread out, he yells, "Cat!" And then a large explosion echoes throughout the forest, and many of the people inside of the base are injured. And even though there are a good amount of people injured, no one is killed because C1 is the weakest explosion that Datara has. And then from the tattered base, a figure emerges, a blonde teen with a dead expression on his face. And when Datara realizes who this is, a smile creeps on his face and says, "A 2-for-1 special." Awesome. And as Naruto approaches Datara, he grabs the hilt of his blade, and as he unsheathes his sword, Datara releases some more clay explosives, and then Naruto infuses some wind chakra into his sword, and then slices each of the clay birds in half, and they drop to the ground. And then Datara growls in frustration and makes his huge C2 clay bird that he flies on to gain the aerial advantage, or better known as the high ground. And then Naruto summons like 100 shadow clones to make a shadow clone chain as they all stand on top of each other, and then he jumps onto Datara's clay bird. And as they both stand on this clay bird, they get into a taijutsu fight while having to balance on it. And when Naruto stabs Datara, Datara turns white, and it's revealed that it's an exploding clay clone. And the clone explodes, and Naruto is sent flying off the bird, crashing towards the ground. But before he splats like a bug, he makes a shadow clone that catches himself. And as he gets up, recollecting himself, he sees multiple C1 bug clay bombs that are rushing at him. And since he can't dodge these because there's so many clay bombs, he decides that he has to go for a gamble. Naruto quickly weaves hand signs and uses his newest chakra nature and yells, "Lightning Blast Jutsu." And this is a pretty simple Lightning Blast Jutsu. It's just a jutsu with like a large radius, so it gets all of Datara's bombs. And when Datara yells Katsu, none of the bombs explode. And Naruto lets out a sigh of relief because his gamble paid off. He was right, Datara's bombs were an Earth-style jutsu. And as we know from the fight between Sasuke and Datara, Lightning-style jutsu cancels out Datara's clay bombs. And Naruto knows that his opponent right now is very strong. He could win the battle, but it would be very tough, and there's not a 100% guarantee, although it's probably in Naruto's favor. So he talks to Kurama for a second and asks for some chakra, and Kurama is warmed up to Naruto. He does not like Naruto at all, but he admires his goal and decides to cooperate with him just a little bit. And on top of that, Kurama is no fan of the Akatsuki, so he's gonna help out Naruto either ways. And with Naruto's new buff, he speed blitzes Datara and does the Uzumaki barrage on him, and then Naruto picks up the beaten Datara and holds him by the collar and says, "You damn Akatsuki travel in pairs. Where the hell is your partner?" And Datara's gonna refuse to answer, and he says, "Go to hell, you monster." And when Naruto hears this, his red slit-like eyes seem to become even more blood red, and Naruto's cold gaze turns to a piercing glare. Naruto pulls a kunai out of his pouch and thrusts it towards Datara's chest, but then another kunai comes rushing from the trees and then collides with Naruto's kunai, knocking it out of his hand. Sasori and his Hiriko puppet comes rushing at Naruto, and that's when the other three Jinchuriki come to back up their leader. And when Sasori sees this coming, he realizes how outnumbered they are. 4 strong Jinchuriki against him and a beat up Datara, so he decides to grab Datara and smartly retreat. And once Sasori escapes, he decides that he needs to tell his leader that there's 4 whole Jinchuriki in a single place, and when their leader finds out that there's a large fish in a single pond, he knows that only he can catch them. And about roughly the same time, the Hokage of Konoha is taking notice of this rising organization, and his spidey senses are just tingling. He knows that something about this organization just concerns him. He doesn't know what it is, but just like a sixth sense that he has it, he needs to investigate this organization. And so he forms a 4-man cell to check it out. He sends himself as a leader, and the rest of the members are Sakura, Kakashi, and Sai, the current members of Team 7. And so both Pain and this Konoha team are headed for the reported area of the base, and after a few days of traveling, the 6 pads of Pain and the 4-man cell will show up at about the same time, because if you actually look at the map, Konoha and the Rain Village are actually pretty identical distance to the Land of Waterfalls. And when the Konoha team shows up, they will see a bunch of rogue ninja rebuilding a base, and as they're about to rush into the base and find the leader, a long black rod rushes at Jiraiya's back, but it's going at his back so he doesn't see it. But thankfully, Sai, who was watching all of their backs, sees it and he tackles Jiraiya to make him dodge. And then the 6 pads of Pain appear onto the battlefield, as well as Naruto and the strongest members of his organization, and this creates a 3-way standoff on the battlefield. And as Naruto's group walks up, Han says, "What the hell is all this commotion about? Didn't we just get rid of a few idiots a week ago?" And then Jiraiya looks from from the ground and sees his godson and knows that his feeling was correct. And then also Naruto sees Kakashi and says, "You're still with these idiots? You really are on the wrong side, you know. You should join us. You know what pain feels like the rest of us. You can create a world where the unjust pain we feel doesn't exist, where we destroy the winners of this world." And Kakashi just scoffs at this and says that he's foolish, but Pain overhears this, and this boy piques his interest. But then Naruto says, "By the ways, where's that Uchiha? Where did he go? Wasn't he on your squad?" And Sakura grits her teeth and gets ready to attack her. Oh, sorry, I mean him. But before she does that, Kakashi places his hand on her shoulder, calming her down, and then tells Naruto that Sasuke joined Orochimaru for power. And then Gaara chimes in and says, "Honestly, I'm not surprised. He had the eyes like us." And then the group steps forward and Naruto in a confident voice says, "Where those with power attack those without, we shall appear again. No matter how great a power our enemy may possess, those of you who have power, fear us. And those who have none shall rally behind us, for we, the Hitoshi, shall judge this world." And then in unison after that monologue, all the members of the Hitoshi rush to the Paths of Pain and the Konoha Ninja, and as the battle continues, the Paths of Pain are strangely not attacking their intended targets, but rather they are helping them. And Naruto doesn't understand why they're helping him, but he's not complaining, at least for now. And during the fight, Jiraiya recognizes the purple ripple pattern in each of the Paths of Pain's eyes. And before, he was too focused on his godson to notice, but seeing this causes another piercing pain inside his heart. Failure upon failure upon failure. This painful word repeats in his head like a broken record, and as he plays what-if scenarios through his mind, a mass of sand rushes at him and encases him. And as Gaara holds out his hand and his fingers rush toward his palm, forming a fist, he yells, "Sand coffin!" But simultaneously, Kakashi yells, "Mangekyo Sharingan!" And the sand that was about to crush the 5th Hokage disappears as if it was warped away. He says, "Jiraiya-sama, we need your power." And this snaps Jiraiya back to his senses, and his convictions are steeled once again. His failures are only failures for now. He will redeem himself. He tells Kakashi to watch his back and that he would be ready in a few minutes. He then bites his thumb and summons 2 of the strongest toads, Ma and Pa. He then starts collecting natural energy, and this time he doesn't need to summon Gamaken to protect him because he already has Team 7 to protect him. But it seems that his faith didn't hold up. The strength of the 2 groups overwhelms the Konoha Ninja, and Jiraiya's 3 teammates are on the dirt, utterly crushed. And that's where I'm going to wrap up with this video. If you did enjoy, remember to drop a like and subscribe for the YouTube algorithm. And without any further ado, remember to stay safe and have a great day. I'm the Shadow Sage, signing off.